to me within the past few weeks, y'all, why so many folk are hating on Barack Obama. He doesn't fit the model. He ain't white, he ain't rich, and he ain't privileged. Hillary fits the mold.
Hey, welcome to the Morning Show. So good to have you with us. We have so much to go through today. But first, let's start, I guess, this pastor, Obama's former pastor.
Jeremiah Wright.
Jeremiah Wright was covered yesterday. Good Morning America. I know some of the cable shows last night covered it. I know a lot of shows this morning are going to be covering it. This is going to be a story we're going to be hearing about over the next couple days, but it is just a subset to a much larger story, and that's the story that you were talking about before we came on.
I've been talking about this yesterday too, but the Democratic Party, of course, is going to have to deal with now, the issue of race coming up and becoming part of, basically a fight between the campaigns. And, we have to look at what this pastor says if we're going to look so closely at what someone like Geraldine Ferraro says, which could be seen both ways in terms of whether or not it was racially intended or not by the campaign.
Well, the problem for the Obama campaign, we're going to be playing you some of these clips, and they're really dramatic in what they say.
Yeah.
The problem is that Barack Obama has put this pastor in charge, I believe, of his national religious organization.
I'm not sure what his connection is with the campaign is exactly right now, but there has been one in the past, and they've also had a long-time relationship. I believe am I correct? He married Michelle
them and baptized their two daughters.
And also, Obama has said in the past that he is the one that brought him to Christianity.
Having said that,
there are a lot of connections, and we're going to be unwinding it throughout the next couple of hours and talking to some people about what that means, but more importantly what the Democratic infighting means, because Mark Penn yesterday made some statements that many people believe were very condescending to Barack Obama. So it goes on, and for the party?
Well, for the party, here we go. If you're looking at this and you're concerned about the fate of the Democratic Party, I would think one would have to be very concerned right now, because you can see John McCain going abroad and sitting back and looking very presidential, while the Democrats look like they're tearing each other down in the worst way that you can.
You can. Race is becoming an issue, and gender is becoming an issue, and I know you have picked out a Charles Krauthammer op-ed, which we'll talk about a little later. But this is basically the
I think it's the worst nightmare.
It is identity politics going on the pastor that are causing so many
the one that's really jarring is the one we're about to show our viewers.
Okay, they're all pretty jarring.
They are jarring.
All right, we'll take a listen to this one, because he uses a word that is probably not pretty appropriate. Here we go.
Get the kids out of the room.
Barack knows what it means to be a black man living in a country and a culture that is controlled by rich white people. Hillary can never know that. Hillary ain't never been called a
Okay.
Again, so a lot of animosity towards Hillary Clinton, but there also are some underpinnings, Willie, of conspiracy theories that I suspect in the back and forth and the heated rhetoric, some would consider hateful rhetoric towards Hillary Clinton. That's a Democratic issue, but I think a lot of independent voters would be concerned about what he has to say about September 11th.
Yeah, these are some of the conspiracy theories we've heard over the last 6 years from fringe elements of our society, and we heard it now from the pastor with who Obama, frankly, has had a very close relationship over 20 years. There's no getting around it. Here's what he said about September 11th.
We bombed Hiroshima, we bombed Nagasaki, and we nuked far more than the thousands in New York and the Pentagon, and we never batted an eye. We have supported state terrorism against the Palestinians and black South Africans, and now we are indignant because the stuff we have done overseas is now brought right back into our own front yards.
In case you missed it in there, he said, we nuked far more than the thousands in New York and the Pentagon, and we never batted an eye.
Well, and blamed U.S. foreign policy for terrorism, said that it was our own fault.
It'll be, I think the campaign has responded to this. Bill Burton has put out a statement, and at this point, this is all they're saying. Senator Obama has said before that he profoundly disagrees with some of the statements and positions of Reverend Wright, who has preached his last sermon as pastor at the church. Senator Obama deplores divisive statements, whether they come from his supporters, the supporters of his opponent, talk radio, or anywhere else.
Well, obviously the problem is this is a man who has had a great impact in Barack Obama's life. People have tried to figure out who is this Barack Obama, where has he come from. We had never really heard of him before 2004 when he gave that speech. It suddenly exploded on the national stage. Barack Obama has said this pastor played a very key role in his development. And again, this man that we're hearing here, that he says brought him to Christianity, that had a great influence on his life, that married he and his wife. This would cause a grave concern, I think, for a lot of voters out there. Regardless also of what color the guy is. I don't know if we're going to be hearing now that anybody that attacks Reverend Wright is racist. I would suspect in this day and age we probably would, but it's the words, not the man that's saying the words.
Two things, though. I mean, he's not a surrogate for the campaign right now. He's not working for the campaign.
But was he not, though, put on the campaign in an official position?
I believe that in the beginning he may have had some connection with the campaign, but there's
he's not now, but he was. And he was named a leader in a leadership role for pastors and for Christian leaders on Obama's steering committee.
Right. Like Hillary Clinton and the Geraldine Ferrara statement, Barack Obama does not agree with what this man is saying. I'm just saying.
Okay.
We've said many times over this campaign that the candidates can't be held responsible for what their surrogates say, whether it's Billy Shaheen in New Hampshire, anybody like that. Yeah. But the difference, I think, here is, as Joe said, this is a man in whom Barack Obama put his faith and his trust. This is somebody you had a long relationship with. This is not some fringe person in his life.
Yeah, this is not a guy that said, oh, you won the Democratic nomination for vice president back in 1984. Be an honorary person on my campaign. This is a guy that influenced him, brought him to Christianity, a guy who married his family, his wife. This is a guy who is, I would say, from what we've read at least, one of the most influential people in Barack Obama's life.